Now, I took this project on because we have a new AC system coming in, and I used this Plaster-Weld, which I found 2 or 3 years ago. It makes plaster adhere to about anything, and we had a leak in this basement wall. My dad dug this basement out by hand back in the 1950s, carried dirt out in 5-gallon buckets. I can still remember him doing it. And so it's set for 70 years and done good, but it's got some leaks at the bottom. When it rained, the water would come in, little bitty cracks. Now, this Plaster-Weld is good for small cracks, and there's also a concrete weld that you paint on if you want to use like a sackcrete or something on that order. But this Plaster-Weld is made for plaster, and I learned about it when I was doing some ceilings and corners up in the house up there, and I got on YouTube, and this guy named Kirk something or other out in California, like a 3-generation plaster man. They do these cathedral ceilings and all kinds of stucco, and he's just a pro, and he uses this stuff to make the plaster stick to whatever he's doing. But you paint it on. Now, right here today on this one, it was 108-degree heat index, and when I did the bottom, it was 113, and the camera didn't take on the bottom part down there. Now, these cracks are about 1/8 of an inch, and they're a little too small for mortar, I think anyway, or for sackcrete. So I'm going to use this plaster, which turns into like a rock, and there won't be any vibration. Where I'm standing down there, I dug that out with a backhoe, and that's the bottom of the basement down there where my feet are. That's the floor inside, so, or close to it anyway. But that's the cracks down there at the bottom would let the water roll in. Now, I got that rake there because I've got 2 new knees, and that helps me get out of that hole I dug with the backhoe. So, but this Lawson's Plaster-Weld is saying, well, you paint it on, then you let it dry, and you come back and you put on your plaster. Okay, so I think we're going to go down and mix plaster now. Okay, now this is plaster wall patch, not plaster. It's a plaster, but straight plaster cures about twice as fast as this wall patch. So this DAP plaster wall patch, you've got twice as much time as if you buy straight plaster, and it gives you a little more time to work it. And it's very there's nothing to it really. Once you get onto it, just put it in, pour water, and mix, basically. Now, if you're doing like cracks or a corner, what I do anyway, and what he showed me on YouTube, old Kirk guy out in California, is you put a layer of plaster on, and then you get that fiberglass, that 6-inch fiberglass roll, and if it's a corner, you'll just try to find the middle, run it down, stick it in that plaster that you put up there, mix another batch and put over it, and do that a couple times. If it's a big crack, put another coating of plaster, another roll or a section of that fiberglass tape up there, and slap the plaster over it. The next day, I gave mine 24 hours to dry each time. It's like granite when it's done. I mean, this stuff gets hard now. It really does. And I made some little donut thingies with some fiberglass in it, and you can't hardly, after let them sit for a week, you can't hardly break them with a hammer. I mean, they're stout with that fiberglass in there. So if you got a corner or a wall that's plaster, the old plaster, not wallboard, but the old plaster, and you slap that down on that crack, put that Plaster-Weld on there, wait at least an hour or the next day, it don't matter. I think after a week you're supposed to repaint it if you haven't done it yet. But then you put a little layer of plaster on, then run that fiberglass on there, put plaster over that, try to get it as smooth as you can, because this stuff does not sand easy. I'm going to tell you, it is it's like sanding a piece of gravel. So you want to maybe practice on something a little bit. You don't want it all goopy if you're going to want it smooth, because you can't come back later and just sand it down. So anyway, mix here, and I like it a little thick, but not real thick. And out there where it's where I am now, it really doesn't matter, because I can throw a coat of paint on it in a week, and nobody cares anyway on how it looks out there on this old house. So anyway, there it's kind of droopy a little bit, and I think we're going to go back out now. And okay, now this is Weld Crete, and this you would use for concrete, and it'll work a wonder. It really does. But this would be if you want to get like a sack of concrete mix or mortar mix, and paint this on first, and you had cracks over, say, an inch. And then now this Red Devil stuff, that's actually concrete in there. So it works good if you got like maybe a half-inch hole or a half-inch crack. But something you really had to build up, you might want to get a sack of Sackcrete. But I gave I bought this stuff during the pandemic. I think I gave like $100 a gallon, and I could not find it. I mean, it was I've never seen it here up in Kansas City, Home Depot. I've never seen this stuff nowhere. But now, of course, my eyes aren't real good anymore either. But anyway, this is the same day as we painted it. And this is, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later. It's dry. And then you just cover the crack with it and smooth it out. It ain't rocket science, I'll tell you right now. It is not. But it started leaking. Oh, I don't know when really. It's just settled. When Pop built it, I mean, you can talk about working on a budget, but man, back in the 50s, when you was on a budget, there was just no money. There was nobody had any money really. It was a different world back then. I'll tell you right now. I'm kind of glad I saw it, because I can appreciate how it is today. And when you can roll out there and get a charge card and get $4,000 or $5,000 or something, back then you couldn't get 50 cents. So, but anyway, he built that by hand over a few years, carried all the dirt out in buckets, and there was an old set of stairs there that went down to a washroom, and it's still there. You'll see that at the end of this thing. That was what he had, was that old set of stairs and a washroom, and he knocked the wall out and started digging. And he done a heck of a job, I'll tell you that. My hat's off to him. The old man was tough. Boy, he was tough. But he did good work too. He's very, very smart. Very smart. But this stuff here, you just slap the mortar on. I'm going where I don't need it just to use it up. But down at the bottom down there, the cracks was about, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch. And if they'd been a little wider, the Weld Crete and the mortar or the concrete tube might have been better. But this stuff here was really thin, and I knew that. I knew this stuff here would go in the cracks, and now this will be covered about to the middle there. You can see where the dirt's dug back. I'm down about, I don't know, 3 foot maybe. But it doesn't matter anyway. Nobody sees it. But you just you can go back and paint it if you want to, which I will. I'll throw a coat of paint on it before I put that dirt in there. I'll probably use that waterproof basement paint. I can't think of the name of it, but it's a hydraulic paint, and it was pretty expensive. It was about $50 a gallon. I painted the whole inside of the basement down there with it, everything, and it cost me a couple hundred. Took about 4 or 5 gallon. I still got a couple gallon left, and I'll clean up on this. On this plaster, I just hose it down, and try to get these pans are about, I don't know, $12, $15. You don't want one made of metal. You want it made of stainless steel, which is metal, of course, or aluminum is good. But you don't want this straight steel. It's going to rust right off the bat. And you get a stainless steel one, and it should last you a lifetime if you don't run over it with your truck or something. There's my pigs down there I bought way back when, my concrete. Okay, now this is the corner where I was working, and this is the weldcrete, and then those tubes of mortar on, and then kind of spread out. And this has worked pretty good. And then this is a crack in the wall where it's separated down from a window. There's a window up there. I think we might see it. And it's settled from the, we're getting light. That's the window. Starting to get light up there. There's that window there, and it cracked all the way down. And I used that weldcrete to paint, and then used those tubes of mortar, poked them in the hole. You could put your thumb in there. It's pretty good jag, really. And then this is those original stairs that was there when they bought the house back in I don't know, 1950, 1945, whatever, whenever they bought it. And the behind me is like a washroom. And that's all going to be replaced one day. Anyway, thanks for watching. This thing is coming to an end, and be safe out there.